Tonight at 6, a second teenager has died after a shooting near a Maryland mall. The new details about the young victims and the young suspect now accused in another shooting. Honoring their memory, world-class skaters coming together in the district, raising money for families impacted by January's mid-air collision. First responders slated to benefit too. Got a report from inside the arena.
And we had a glorious day today. Although it was chilly outside, there was plenty of sunshine, but I'll tell you what, it's going to get cold again tonight. We'll talk about how cold coming up.
Plus, Sunday prayers for the Pope. Our neighbor is hoping for Pope Francis' recovery, and swift indeed, as he remains hospitalized in Rome. We're checking in with parishioners on their message today. And meal prep savings, the AI tool to cut back time spent planning your next dinner plate. A consumer report with your cash in mind.
You're watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
Good Sunday evening. Thank you for joining us for DC News Now at 6 o'clock. I'm Ben Dennis. We begin tonight in Maryland. New details. Police say that a second teenager has died after a shooting near the Columbia Mall in Howard County just over 1 week ago. 15-year-old Blake McRae has died from his injuries. 16-year-old Michael Robertson died on scene February the 22nd. We're told the 18-year-old suspect here was previously charged, but they will be upgraded given the passing of the latest teenager. The suspect, Emerson Zia, also allegedly fired shots on Valentine's Day on Twin Rivers Road near Broken Land Parkway. In that case, nobody was hit. Check this out in the district. The Stars and Stripes raised high over Chinatown tonight ahead of the ice skating event at Capital One Arena to honor the lives lost in January's mid-air collision. DC Fire unveiled this tribute to honor the many families impacted. Fire officials say that they're proud to honor the victims and first responders. And it has been just over a month since 67 people died in that crash. The outpouring of support continues for families of those lives lost, including members of the local skating community. A benefit today inside Capital One included star-studded performers, reigning two-time U.S. national champion Amber Glenn among them. The Legacy on Ice event raised money to support families of the victims, first responders, and flight professionals who responded to the tragedy. Today's program drew a near sellout crowd to Capital One. Attendees told us why they needed to be there.
The reasons that brought them all together is unfortunate, but the opportunity to see all of these people support the community with love and joyful expression is something I wouldn't miss. So.
The Monumental Sports and Entertainment Foundation is collecting all the proceeds and will be equally distributed to the U.S. Figure Skating Family Support Fund, Greater Washington Community Foundations, DC Together Relief Fund, and DC Fire and EMS Foundation. Good work there to honor those memories. All right, 6:02, over to meteorologist Scott Sumner. Oh, a nice little multicolored sky with the U.S. Capitol Dome there. How are we feeling right now there, Scott?
Well, when we were talking at this time yesterday, I was saying how nice and mild it was. We were in the 60s. Today's high, well, in the 40s, 10 degrees lower than the average should be for this state at 52 degrees. We were only at 42, record high 77. Set back in 1972, 53 years ago. Temperatures, like I said, are going to be cooling off and in the 40s now, into the 30s, and then back into the 20s. Now we'll have less wind tonight. Matter of fact, we'll have very calm or light winds across the area compared to what we had last night as high pressure starts to build into the region. But again, we've got clear skies, perfectional radiational cooling, perfect radiational cooling coming in with that high pressure building in overnight tonight. So with that being said, planning your evening here, I'll step over this side so you can see the numbers. 8, 9, and 10 o'clock. Temperatures will be in the 30s, so will the feel-like temperatures as well. And the weather headlines here again, less wind but cold once again. Warming trend by Tuesday, strong and severe possible on Wednesday. We'll talk about that in the main weather. And then some mountain snow and blustery conditions on Thursday. Ben?
All right, Scott, we'll see you in just a bit. New tonight in Northeast D.C., the Pie Shop restaurant and music venue on H Street had their windows smashed in again. D.C. police say the first incident happened Friday. The Pie Shop had their windows replaced when they were struck for a second time. They say they're still open, but they're calling on D.C.'s Department of Transportation to remove bricks from storefronts, saying it's a, quote, failed design. And now to Montgomery County, a scary scene and rescue on Clara Barton Parkway near Cabin John Parkway. Two cars reportedly went down a 40-foot embankment last night. First responders say 4 people were taken to the hospital. No word on what caused the crash. Good news, everybody is expected to be okay. And eyes remain on Pope Francis and his health, which is reportedly stabilizing after a serious bout of pneumonia. Folks in the DMV gathered in the district to pray for the pontiff. Pews inside the Basilica of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception in Northeast were filled for Mass at noon, followed by a rosary prayer for Pope Francis. We spoke with churchgoers who are praying for a quick recovery. They say today's Mass was beautiful.
I just thought it was so beautiful today, being in church and just hearing the way that everybody was keeping him in their prayers, just the way that he's a leader to the whole Catholic Church, and that we really look up to him and that we can now give back to him in our prayers.
The Vatican and doctors watching over the Pope say that there are many signs of improvement. Pope Francis was recently on a ventilator following a respiratory crisis, something doctors say today is no longer needed. All right, back here in the Commonwealth, Virginia State Police will now assist ICE agents as they continue cracking down on illegal immigration. It comes as the Trump administration works to fulfill campaign promises of mass deportations and increased border security. Our Max Marcilla shares what the move in Virginia could mean for our local communities.
ICE has made its presence in Northern Virginia known since President Trump took office in January. This video shared by the agency is from Chantilly. And while it did not make any arrests, these photos from Annandale show a time when it did. This operation resulted in 7 arrests, though only 1 person had a criminal record.
The community is frustrated, disappointed, is afraid.
Jorge Mendez, a Fredericksburg-based organizer, says he fears the deportation efforts are isolating the community. Christian Martinez with CASA has a similar fear.
Someone is a victim of a crime, and they don't have any status. They are less likely to ask for help.
Martinez says Prince William County's jail board had a similar agreement with ICE from 2007 to 2020 called 287G. He says it was a failure, and this executive order will harm trust between immigrant communities and law enforcement.
We already saw the concerns that local law enforcement had with 287G.
But Youngkin and Virginia State Police's superintendent say this is about safety. Youngkin saying in a statement, the action will make Virginia safer by removing dangerous criminal illegal immigrants from our Commonwealth, and they should not be let back into our communities to assault, rape, and murder. They should be sent back where they came from.
Max Marcilla reporting Glenn Youngkin's executive order to have state police join ICE operations also calls for training state prison officers to become designated immigration officers. You can read the full executive order at dcnewsnow.com. All right, U.S. Customs and Border Patrol is getting a new headquarters in D.C. It's the USAID building. Our network partners at News Nation reports that Border Patrol will take over the Ronald Reagan building, home to USAID for decades. The Trump administration, you remember, put almost all USAID staffers on leave worldwide lately and fired at least 1,600 U.S. staffers. And those workers at USAID were given just 15 minutes this week to clear out their offices and desks after they were fired by the Elon Musk-led DOGE initiative. Basil John reports.
About 1,600 USAID employees lost their jobs as DOGE says it tries to get rid of waste in the federal government. The agency was the first targeted for elimination. Employees left the building that used to bear USAID's name in tears as they were forced to remove their belongings after the Trump administration gutted the agency.
This dismantlement of our work in less than 40 days it's breathtaking. I can't even put into words how devastating it is.
Upset employees tried to restore that name, pulling tape off of a sign outside the office. The administration plans to terminate over 90% of USAID's contracts for humanitarian and development work around the world.
I love the work that we do. I really care about it. I felt like we made a difference.
Supporters offered cheers and applause as USAID employees walked out with suitcases and cardboard boxes filled with what they could take.
It's disrespectful to treat people who have served America so well in this way.
But California Republican Congressman Doug LaMalfa is encouraged by this direction from the administration and DOGE.
It's indeed flipping over rocks and find a lot of cockroaches scurrying away.
The administration says it's trimming the fat from the federal government.
While we have a sledgehammer, we also have a scalpel, and we're making sure we're doing a lot of these cuts with precision.
Other federal agencies are preparing for mass firings in their departments as well. The White House says they need to map out reduction in force plans by the fall. Reporting in Washington, I'm Basil John.
Our thanks to Basil. Developing right now, President Trump is threatening to impose tariffs on Mexico and Canada as soon as Tuesday. He says the 25% tariffs are a response to fentanyl flowing into the U.S. from the southern and northern borders. Trump also says he will double the 10% tariffs currently in place on imports from China. Economic analysts say we could see higher prices in the short term, but tell us not to be too worried.
I don't think people should be overly worried about this. I do think people should have some confidence in American business. Supply chains rearrange themselves. Businesses do not remain still. They change, they figure out, where can we get other things.
And President Trump could change his mind. Just last month, he paused his tariffs plan at the last minute after talking to leaders of Mexico and Canada. And you may have missed it. President Trump signed an executive order making English the official language of the United States. This gives government agencies and organizations the option of offering documents and services in other languages, ending a Clinton-era requirement that agencies provide language assistance for people who don't speak English. The White House claims the designation will promote unity, make the government more efficient, and create a pathway for more engagement.